Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso. So, good news, Blondie is officially out of heat, thank goodness. Cashmere is as well. The only dog I still have left in heat is Belladonna, so she's still put up. Everybody else is out now. The whole pack is back together again, thank goodness. Well, almost, like I said, except for Belladonna. No, cat, don't you dare! My cat was literally fixed to try to jump from there to the refrigerator. I don't know what she was thinking. That's my laundry that I need to put up, by the way, so don't judge. Meow, kitty, kitty, meow. Meow, wow, wow. Wow, wow. Meow, wow, wow. All right, so get down right now. Go down now. What did I say? Get down now. Boy, that dog is stubborn, man. Swear. All right, so anyway, so yeah, so everybody's out, thank goodness. This is the last day of worming them, so everybody's looking nice and trim. I'm not seeing any bloatedness like I was seeing before. So I have started doing some training with Gina. Gina is the breeder even told me, she was like, you know, watch out, she's crazy. And I got her because of her structure. I was more in love with her structure. I didn't really care too much about her temperament so long as it was stable. And I did ask that. I was like, do you mean crazy, like unstable? And she goes, no, she's stable. Atari, bad girl, no, go. Psst, psst, psst. So, sorry, I have to fix this. They're not supposed to be, I'm training them not to come in here, not to come into my area. Because what I do is, whenever it's time to sweep and mop this, I actually put them over here so that they can't mess it up. And then vice versa, whenever I need to clean over here. So anyway, so yeah, so, and don't judge me. I haven't cleaned my house yet today. It needs to be swept. It needs to be mopped, and I need to wipe down my couches. Hey, Belladonna, quit making noise in there. So anyway, so back to Gina. So the breeder was like, no, she's perfectly stable. She's just, you know, she has a very strong temperament. And so, so that I can attest to. I don't know if I would call it a strong temperament, but she's very, what is the word that I would use to describe her? Almost excitable, I guess maybe I would call it. And, so anyway, so she's got a bad habit of whenever she's put up, she barks constantly, just literally like a lot of dogs will bark or they'll whine or whatever. And she just does this, row, 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 and it just doesn't stop, which is not cool. So anyway, so, but I can't, if you go to sleep with her out, then she's so energetic that she jumps all over everything. I mean, the level of energy that she has is literally not like anything I've ever had before. So what I'm teaching her to do right now is to just be calm. That's it. Just be calm. Just settle down and just be still. And so that's why I have her leashed up. Another reason I have her leashed up is because when you do put her on a leash, like if you try to walk her outside, she flips out like a fish on a hook. And, pardon me, and doesn't care about treats. Like normally with a dog like that, I would offer them treats and try to get them to kind of come to the treat. And then once they're kind of okay with being on the collar, what I do is I will let them walk around and I will just follow them with the leash. I don't try to direct them. I don't try to pull them. I don't try to nothing because there's no point. You know what I mean? You'll only trigger the escape response, the fear response, and they'll freak out and start flipping around again. But with her, the food doesn't even do it. She just flips out. So my goal in having her leashed like this is for her to get used to being tethered, to get used to having a collar around her, and that it's not going to hurt her. You know what I mean? Like I'm not on the end of the leash. You know, she has a limited range right here where she can be, and that's it. The reason I have it kind of short is because she's so energetic, I don't want her bouncing off the couches and then ending, you know, like jumping off one way and then her hitting the end of the leash and it popping her back. You know what I mean? It's for her own safety that I'm keeping it short. I just want her to get used to A, being still, being patient, not jumping around all over the place like a, you know, like a jelly bean. And also to get used to having something around her neck, to being, you know, tethered. So that's kind of what I'm doing with her right now. I did get her when she was already older. She was already 4 months old. So, so typically I will have already tried to leash train by then. And when they get that old, they are more inclined to want to fight and kind of freak out a little bit. So if they are going to do that, they are more inclined at that age. So I wanted to give her some time to kind of get used to being here and get used to us before I start actually doing some work with her like that. So she knows me now. She trusts me. She knows I'm not going to hurt her. So it's easier for me now to work with her than it would be. Leave my cat alone. Batista, you heard what I said. Kitty, 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 kitty. What'd I say? Stop it. Hey, quit. You. I'm talking to you. No. No. Meow. Meow. You see the camera? Kitty, kitty. Meow, kitty, kitty. So, also, I have this now. I finally bought an e-collar. It's the first e-collar I've ever bought. And I got it for Batista. I've just had one heck of a time getting him to listen whenever he's out there. Has nothing to do with his training. He knows what he's supposed to do. You can have a treat. He's not going to listen. Get down now. And he's just unbelievably stubborn. Get down. His breeder, I said get down now. Get down right now. As you can see, extremely stubborn dog. So anyway, so with him, I have been using my pack to kind of get him to listen, but it's getting old, you know what I mean? He's getting too big and I'm just sick and tired of it. So I did get the e-collar. I do try to, you know, use the sound and the vibrate as much as possible. I will say this, like, I'm not against e-collars, but there's a part of me that just has a hard time using them. And so I've never bought one before. I've always basically done it the hard way. You know what I mean? When people say, well, how do you make them listen or whatever? I go track them down. You know what I mean? I track them down. I put them in submissive posture. I make them stand back up and I make them walk with me back. And normally that's enough. Normally dogs learn, okay, you know, she's calling me, I have to come back, or she's going to come get me. But Batista is a whole different kind of animal. I've never in my life had a dog this stubborn in my whole life. Like never, never, never. He will look at you. He's not as bad as his mother in the sense that he acts like he can't hear me. He'll look at me and he'll literally turn around and walk the other way. And it's just like, I'm not going to do it with him anymore. And I'm getting older. You know what I mean? I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And I'm tired and I got stuff going on and I can either spend 30 minutes trying to get him to come, wearing myself out emotionally and physically, or I can literally just, you know, hit him with the collar. And so what I do now is I give him a verbal warning that he needs to get back over here. Then I do the sound. If he doesn't listen to that, I give him another call. If he doesn't listen, I hit him with the vibrate. If that doesn't work, then I hit him with the shock. He has now learned that after the vibrate comes the shock. So he now listens to the vibrate. Ideally, he will need to be listening to me calling initially. So what I will probably end up doing is if he keeps doing the whole, well, I won't come on the first, but I'll come on the second because of the vibrate, then I'll end up eliminating the vibrate and going right to the shock. Not because I'm a mean person, but because he needs to learn to listen when he's told what to do. He's not allowed to just do whatever the heck he wants. And right now he thinks he can. So anyway, so that's that. I've had people on the channel tell me that I needed to get an e-collar for him. A lot of people think that it's foolish of me to waste so much time trying to get him to behave without it, you know what I mean? But it's always been my thing. It's hard for me to verbalize because it's not that I think the e-collars are abusive. I really don't. I know people that use them, people that I really respect. There are lots of, you know, what we call balanced trainers, which they'll use whatever tools they need to train a dog. And they oftentimes will use e-collars. And so, so anyway, so, you know, I'm not saying that I think they're horrible. It's just that me personally, I don't know what it is yet. I'll have to think about it a lot to really tell you why it is that I personally don't particularly like them so much. I will say it's amazingly effective. You know what I mean? Like the first time I used it with him, it worked. You know, he came right over to me and sat down. He did what I've been wanting him to do for a long time in a way that, like, it basically cheated him. You know what I mean? He really thought that he could get around me, and he couldn't. You know what I mean? He no matter how far away he was, I could still get him. And that did teach him to come in, you know what I mean? That he had to listen. And so I can say that it was incredibly effective. I guess for me, I tend to be a very stubborn person myself, and I don't like help, I guess would be a good way. Like, I'm one of those people that oftentimes can kind of be too hard on myself in the sense that I will do things the hard way because I want to be able to do it myself. I don't, like, I'll give you an example. When it comes to painting and stuff like this, it's funny because my best friend and I were talking about this because I didn't realize that other people were like this too. But so, when I used to paint a lot. I don't paint anymore. I don't have time, but anyway, I always painted or drew freehand. Okay. I can look at a picture. I used to be able to look at a picture and draw it. And it would usually be just a little bit bigger, but it would look so much like it that when I was a kid, I actually got accused of tracing. And I considered that to be genuine skill. And then I get older and they teach you in school to do the graphs. You know, you do the lines, right? And it helps you be able to draw everything perfectly because the lines match up, right? And I hated that. I was like, what? Like, to me, that was cheating. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand why you would do that. If you could really draw, then you should draw. You shouldn't have to use a graph, but that's the way that people do it. And like I said, and I was, one time, I had rented out a room to an art student, and he was like telling me, he was like, look, he's like, you're literally making something harder on yourself than it has to. You know what I mean? He's like, you still have to paint it. You know, just even if that makes it easier, it doesn't help you paint it. It doesn't, you still have to have skill and technique. And he was right. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, I've always had this part of me that's like, do it right, do it honest. You know what I mean? Like, don't cheat, don't take shortcuts, like things like that. So I was drawing this way, you know, everything here is freehand. I was doing all of that. Actually, no, I'll be honest with you. Well, I forgot about it. So this right here was not freehand. I actually did this with that graphing thing. However, my computer died halfway through, and I think there was something wrong with my charger, and the hand, I had to do freehand. And as you can see, the hand sucks. So just, yeah, the hand's not right. But anyway, so that was don't you dare. Oh, you're a bad dog. Of course you would. You would be the one. No. So anyway, so I did eventually, no. And that was me kind of giving in, like, because the truth of it is, what benefit are you doing to yourself by constantly doing things the hard way? You know what I mean? Like, all you're doing is taking more time out of your day and making, you know, using up, like, if you have a finite amount of energy in a day, right? Like, let's say that you're in a video game and you have a level 100 you know, energy for that day. If you use 50% of it trying to do one task, you know, the long way, instead of taking, you know, a shortcut that isn't, you know, that isn't like, it's not like you cheated, you know what I mean? As long as you're not doing anything unethical, then there really shouldn't be a problem with it. You know what I mean? And so I can sit here and I can struggle with Batista, and I can go and I can fight him, and I can go and grab him, and I can blah, blah, blah. I can do all this stuff. Or I can just use the collar and have him come in a fraction of the time that it would have taken me if I would have called him and then, you know, got Preacher and Cashmere out there to go get him and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, sure, he respects them. He's respecting them, but he's not respecting me, and that's the problem. He needs to respect me. And so that's why I use the collar. I live on multiple acres on top of the fact that the properties beside me are not being lived on. So it's even more, basically. It's like 11 acres total that he has the free roam of if he chooses to. And so, anyway, so, you know, that's my story about it. You know what I mean? I do see it, even now, I do see it as somewhat of a failure on my part, because I've always figured, and I guess because I've always been able to, that I didn't need any collar. You know, that was my big thing, is it was like, well, you know, you can use that or whatever, but I can do it on my own. And it's like, I never stopped to think about the fact that maybe those people could too, but they didn't want to waste all day doing it. You know what I mean? Like, they got dogs to train, they got stuff to do. They don't have all day to focus on one particular dog. And so I guess that's really a lesson that I'm learning, is especially with having as many dogs as I have, is that I have to prioritize my time for everybody. And that means that I can't just spend all the time with one particular animal. I can't be struggling with him in that way whenever I have something that, you know, that will work. So do I feel 100% awesome about it? No, I don't. I would much prefer to be able to do it without that. Having said that, with everything I have going on in my life, I have so much stuff that I do. I run literally multiple businesses. I train dogs. I board dogs. I breed dogs. I show dogs. I train, you know, even my own dogs. You know what I mean? I also do an ear taping thing where I go out and I work with my ear cropping vet, sends me all of his clients that are in my area because he lives 3 hours away from me. He's a very famous vet for that. So all of his crops that are in my area, they all come to me. So oftentimes I will be out in the city, you know, doing house calls on all these people with these dogs, taping up their ears. So I really don't have the time to sit and focus on just Batista. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work out. So anyway, so I have started doing that. Just want to be open and clear about that. I'm not going to pretend, you know, whenever you see him coming in all of a sudden that I just was awesome and I just did it. You know what I mean? You know, I used an e-collar. And I will say that there are times when people are going to need them. If you're old, you know what I mean? If you're honestly past the age of 40, a lot of people don't want to be spending all time running around after dogs and things like that. Or maybe you're disabled and you don't have that ability. There are lots of reasons why a person might need an e-collar to work with a dog. I do think that you can abuse anything. You can abuse a collar. You can abuse a harness. You can abuse an e-collar. You can abuse anything. And so I will say that just because there are people that have abused animals doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be used in that manner. So I try to do it absolutely as sparingly as possible. The idea is just to get him to listen effectively and quickly. That way, you know, we're not out there struggling. My neighbors aren't out there listening to me hollering for Batista, making a bunch of racket. You know what I mean? It's just not neighborly. It's not anything. So I'm sure that there will be people that are upset about that, and I understand, and I get it. You know what I mean? I don't know that I was ever against them like that. I never considered them to be unethical, but I did consider them to be, at the time, I think I used to consider them to be lazy. I was like, you know, you just want a shortcut and this and that. And I guess as I'm getting older now and I don't have the energy I used to when I was younger, I'm beginning to understand it. And we are humans. We are primates. We are, you know, call to fame is the fact that we're intelligent enough to use tools to do things more effectively. And I think that that's a perfect example of that. So, you know, I will not continue to use it once he listens, obviously. This is the only thing I've had to use it for. I am not using it for any other kind of training, just recall. That's it. So, anyway, so I just wanted to kind of touch base on that and kind of let you guys know what's going on. And now I'm going to focus on getting my house clean. I got to, you know, put up all this laundry and, yeah, and get my day started. But I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys and let you know what's going on. So anyway, I will talk at you later and hope you're having a good day. Bye.